Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today I wanted to focus on the importance of drawing from real life and using photo references. Whenever I was first starting out in art, I thought artists were magicians. I thought they just drew everything from their imagination, and if you drew from a photo reference or copied off of something, then you weren't a true artist. You weren't a real artist. You were a fake artist. Only real artists don't use photo references. Real artists can draw anything. But it wasn't until I went to college and I discovered that there were paintings selling for millions of dollars by artists who use photo references that I was like, what? So never be afraid to use the reference. References make everything so much easier. I mean, you think you know how to draw something, and you'll draw it from memory, and you'll think it looks good, but then you'll look at a photo of it, and you'll be like, no, my God, that is messed up. How did I even think it was drawn a different way than that? Oh my God, it's just not right at all. Never be afraid to use references, or draw from life. Drawing from life, you learn so much about the way clothes fold, about anatomy, about different details like the wrinkles around the eyes when somebody smiles, or the corners of their mouth. Also about like the way that a person stands and the way they hold their weight, the way they sit and the way they hold their weight when they're sitting. You can learn about how hair works and the different clumps of hair and how they work together. So yeah, you should study that stuff all the time if you want to draw regularly. And you can use photo references, you can draw from photos, and also a lot of times if you're not into going out in public or being around people, or if you're afraid you might make somebody feel uncomfortable if you're staring at them too long trying to draw them, you can also draw from DVDs or Blu-rays. You can pause those suckers. That's a plethora of images, different poses, different rooms, different outfits, different lighting, everything. You can get all that stuff from Blu-rays and DVDs. So you have this unlimited treasure trove to draw from quote-unquote life. Then after you draw from reference photos for years, after time you'll know how to draw certain things a lot easier, and you can draw it without references. Now I watched this video this one time of Jim Lee, a well-known comic book artist, who was drawing this scene with two dudes inside of a room. One was close, one was in the background, one was shooting a blast at another one, and they were in this room with furniture and stuff and windows and everything, and he just drew it, just busted it out, no references at all, just pow, 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 pow. Just drew all the figures, all the perspective and everything. It was amazing. And the guy who was hosting the video asked him, "Now, how'd you do that? How'd you draw this whole thing so quickly and so great?" And he replied, "I've drawn this pose 1,000 times. I've drawn it so many different times." And that's true. I mean, if you're, especially comic book artists, they draw, let's say 5 panels per page, 20 pages in a comic book. They draw about 100 drawings a month. They are on fire. You have to draw everything from every angle. You know, you do that for a couple years, and geez, you've drawn so many things that it all becomes so much easier. And that's the thing, you just have to put the time in. But you can learn a lot from drawing from references and drawing from life. And as you're drawing from references and from photos or life, it does help to know the structure of things and the principles of drawing, such as, you know, drawing everything in cylinders or blocks or spheres or something like that. And then the basics of creating round shapes. Even when you're drawing from a photo reference, it helps to know these rules because you can use those in your underlying structure when you're creating things. And when you're drawing from a photo reference, you don't have to draw exactly from the reference. You can use it as a guideline. You're not copying the photo, or you're not copying whatever it is you see. You're using it as a reference, and then you tweak it and make it your own. You can lengthen things, shorten things, make things bigger, make things smaller. You can change it however you want and help it bring the piece together. And sometimes your photo reference, even if it is from life, it just doesn't look right whenever you draw it out. The lines line up weirdly or something. You're creating your own world. This is all you. You don't have to draw the real world. You can adjust your drawing to better show what you're trying to get across. You can exaggerate things and make them pop out more. The main thing is to focus on what is needed to make the picture look good, and what is needed to get the viewer interested in the piece. So you want to put your own unique spin on it. You can use it as a reference, but make the eyes bigger, or sometimes make them smaller. Sometimes do the opposite of what you think you should do, and that will change it in a way to where it will draw people in and make them interested in like how different it looks. Just really important to draw from life. Yeah, drawing from Blu-rays, I mean, you can learn so much about composition and outfits and hair and way people stand and stuff, just like you can from drawing from real life. Yeah, I remember one time I was drawing a ball cap. Some guy was wearing a ball cap, and I was like, oh, sure, I can draw a guy wearing a ball cap. So I drew a guy wearing a ball cap, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty good. It looks like a guy wearing a ball cap. Then I went and looked up a picture of a ball cap, and it was not right. It was wrong. It was messed up. The way that the bill bends and curves around the head was totally different than what I thought. I thought it looked right, but after looking at a reference, I was way off. And that happens with tons of different things like hands or clothing, wrinkles. You know, you think a wrinkle would go a certain way, but then you look at it and you're like, oh no, totally different. And it's going the opposite direction of what I thought it would be going. I would say don't fake things until you learn things. Try to learn the foundations of art and try to learn how clothes really fold and how hair lays on the head and how the skin wrinkles on the face when you smile. Learn everything you can, and that way you can apply that to your drawings whenever you are drawing on your own. And you'll be like, oh yeah, the other day I was drawing and I realized that there's a little line above the eye where the eyelid wrinkles under the brow. And so you start using it and you're like, okay, that makes it better. And then slowly over time you'll start picking up all these different little tricks. And then you'll add them to your skill set, and all your drawings will start coming together better. Yeah, even artists like Pablo Picasso, who started the Cubist movement and would draw objects from multiple angles to show time and fraction of time, even he learned how to draw realistically first. I mean, he has a whole series of paintings before he started doing Cubism that are totally realistic. So he learned all the basics first before he started going out and changing things up and getting crazy with it. And same goes for music too. I mean, when you are learning music, you learn the notes, you learn the scales, you learn chords, you learn all the basics, all the foundational stuff. But then whenever you get in a band or you're playing your own music and making your own music, you don't think about that stuff. You just let it go and you just play. But everything you learned is still in your mind, so it just flows out, and then that's when it gets a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of work to get through the foundational stuff and to learn the basics, but it's totally worth it and will make everything easier down the line. That's why I just started the series of paintings from Star Wars, because I was wanting to draw more from life and draw more from references, and I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to focus on? And I was like, well, they always say draw what you love, and I love Star Wars, so, and I got all the Blu-rays, so it's really easy to just go find a scene and then draw that scene. Also, when you're drawing from references, it's just a whole lot easier because you don't have to think about the construction of the scene. You don't have to think about the body and how it holds itself, or you don't have to think about the lighting and the shading. You just look at the photo and use the photo as a reference. So when you're drawing from a reference, you can measure things out. You can like, okay, the main figure is 2/3 of the way from the left side of the page, so you can put a blob there. And then you'd be like, okay, well, the head is this far up and the arm is this far over and it extends down to the knee over here, and you can triangulate your drawing and measure it out. Like look at a shoulder and see that the elbow at this angle is like this far down, and that elbow is also this far from the knee. So therefore, you can triangulate what you're drawing and measure it out better. And then, of course, tweak it however you want and extend things if you want and make it different. Even if you're going to draw cartoony, it's still really good to use references. All the Disney artists back in the day had tons of references. They have animals come in, they would have actors and actresses come in and play different roles, and to get the movement, it was very cartoony. I mean, it's very realistic, but simplified. So it's, yeah, just don't be afraid of references. Don't be afraid to use references. Almost every professional artist out there uses references. Now, you got your own body too. I mean, you can use a mirror for facial expressions and stuff. Tons of artists, especially like Disney artists and stuff, have used mirrors to get an expression right, or just to see how things move on their face, and then you can adjust it to the angle in your own drawing. So hopefully this will help you out and put a different perspective on things, and you'll start using references more. And once you do, you'll see that your art will improve a ton, and it'll become a whole lot easier and a lot more fun. I mean, art is a lot of work, so anything you can do to make it not so hard and make it a little bit easier is nice, and it makes it a lot more enjoyable, and it makes it easier to continue working and growing and learning from what you're doing. So if you found this video useful and you enjoyed it, then like it and subscribe, and there will be a lot more coming down the line. Thanks a lot for joining in on the discussion, and if you have any questions, leave a comment. Yep, alright, cool, thanks. And then again, I want to thank all my patrons who help support me and stuff. You guys are the best. And I just want to give a shout out to Katie Ash and Katie Stevens and Chris Tucker and Rich Sunval and Sage Adderley Knox and Natalia Seibel, and Christy Hard, and Tim Hyder, and Father Phil, my buddy, Adam Alexander, Palace Forcella, Jeffrey, Drew Coleman, Amber Z, Romy Owens, Martha Grover, and Neil Bailey. Couldn't do most of this stuff without you guys because your help so much. If you want to check out my Patreon, it's under Hopscotch Sunday. And I'm also on Instagram and Twitter, all that stuff. Also under Hopscotch Sunday, and all these Star Wars drawings. I've done 78 so far, I think. They are all on Instagram. So you can go there and thumb through and see how my art has changed over the time. Alright, thanks a lot. Peace out.